Welcome to my Model-Based Coaching Assessment 2 PowerPoint. Here is the placement context. I'm doing my placement in Leeds Beckett University's Fresher 115. They're in place of the fourth team who play in the Men's Northern Tier 3. I am one of 3 student coaches for this team and one of 8 in the coaching unit. I'm more predominantly the backs coach within this team, meaning I've spent a lot of time looking at attacking phase play and been very lucky with the talent in the ball playing positions, which has shaped my experience as a coach. These players are between the ages of 18 and 23, and they're all in their first year of playing rugby at Leeds Beckett, so the style that we play. Here is my mental model. Here's where I started my mental model with the TPM I found on the RFU website. I began thinking about it in my coaching context and open conversations about it. Here's one bit of feedback I got from Jodie Devine. This model takes a negative approach to the transitional phases, so the 2 phases on the left and right. Another bit of feedback I had from Leo Ravade was, does this utilise a modern kicking game? For example, a 50-22, a new rule that allows you to regain possession, could add a dimension to this model. And my lecturer, Anna Stockdale, said, are offensive and defensive organisations the same? Can they really be put under such a similar umbrella, under the idea that offensive organisation and defensive organisation have the same description? Here is the first adaptation to my mental model. This is a new optimistic approach to the transition phases. The transition from attack to defence has become the reaction phase, the pink box on the left, and the transition from defence to attack has become the counter-attack phase, the box on the right. Being able to look at these moments in a more excitable way allows it a chance to get on the front foot. A composed reaction to losing possession when you become the defence, a chance to, if you react quickly in your defence, you might be able to deny them any progress. Making it a race creates the mindset that nobody can switch off. And for the counter-attack phase, quick decisions going to attack, countering on the defence's shape. A way to get on top of your opponent and make ground quickly while there's a lack of setup. Here's the adaptation 2, differencing offensive and defensive organisations. The offensive organisation becomes phase play attack, and the defensive organisation becomes systematic pressure defence. This is especially relevant to my coaching context. Making this model specific to my team and the style of rugby at Leeds Beckett really helps in its practice. The setup of the attacking shape and working through the phases is our ideal playing style. Executing these phases and shapes will effectively allow everything else to build from that. Defence is often undervalued, especially at lower levels. By calling it systematic pressure, we emphasise the need for it to be constant, not just a part of the game you occasionally focus on. Here is the third adaptation to my mental model, using the pink lines going through the diagram to show how I'd utilise the modern kicking game and strengths of my team. By using the phase play attack, we can quickly transition to counter-attacking opportunities while avoiding contests. This is a skill that can be used in phase play attack to maintain possession and create counter-attacking opportunities. It's also a way of progressing through the reaction phase and gaining advantage over opponents when they are unexpected or they are unorganised. This is something that I realised is a lot more accurate for this level of rugby due to the original mental model being quite straightforward and sort of one-dimensional. A team with a few strong kickers could really utilise this model. The rule changes, such as 50-22, have been game-changing in the recent years for rugby. This model incorporates that as a territory-based thinking from the phase play attack. The learned system does not need to be predictable or flat. Attacking kicks can exploit opposition weaknesses and punish poor defensive shape, which is even more common at this level. Here is the overview of my model. I have added a few extra boxes in to be able to explain the different types of kicks, as well as a general pointer to each of the phases. The reaction phase is all about reacting to the change in possession, and quick reaction, set the defence. That's your chance to get on top of the opposition. And the counter-attack phase, it's not a transition. It's a counter-attack. It's short, sharp reactions, eyes up, and make the most of the defence's disorganisation. Contestable kicks. They're short, in-the-moment kicks that can target space and turn the defence and create gaps even when possession is retained. Or reactive kicks, e.g. grubbers or chips, are often difficult for defence's counter-attack due to limited preparation. They're very in-the-moment, and talented players can pull these off very quickly. Territorial kicks, kicking possession away purposely, putting yourself in the reaction phase. If this is practiced and well executed with an efficient kick chase, then you'll be able to dominate your opponents. Space sort kicks, pressure on kick return in an area of the university game that is often ignored, and by introducing space sort kicks, contesting kicks, and territorial kicks, it adds a fast route to contention that we could dominate, as it's something that we practice. And the 50-22s, risking kicking possession into the reaction phase, aiming for a chance to regain possession, especially in the opposition's end zone, without having to go through a contention. The theories behind my mental model. Using transition as an opportunity, Garganter work on game phases suggested that the change of possession can create unstable moments in the play that can be capitalised on. This idea supports placing special emphasis on reaction and counter-attack phases as key opportunities to exploit opponents while they're disorganised. Collective intent and cohesion. Widmeyer and Duchamp's research on team goal setting contributes to the concept of shared mental model, strengthening as a defensive unit and team responses during systematic pressure defence and the transition situations. The perception action in reaction phases. Gibson's psychology framework supports the idea of prioritising rapid perception action coupling. It encourages players to quickly identify possibilities and respond decisively during reaction and counter-attacking moments. And kicking to avoid transitional phases. I used Harwood's 5 C's model, especially the confidence and competence aspects of it, for the individuals and how they can use their skill set to be able to understand the system we have, exploit gaps with the sureness and the confidence and the competence that they have pulled off the right decision. All 4 of these helped massively for their respective areas. My talent performance model. What does good look like? The context of these participants. As I've said, these are 18 and 23-year-olds at Leeds Beckett. It focuses, my talent performance model focuses on the decision-making heavy positions. So I focus on the 9, 10 and 12 positions. These players are typically tactically and technically above average, with ongoing physical development weaknesses that often influence their placement in these ball-playing positions. These players are central to the phase play attack, central to the structured pressure defence and overall game control. As my placement is university rugby, is very competitive. There's been rotations, injuries, and a high competition in these positions specifically, which has created challenges around selection, role clarity, and player management, which I'll go on to talk about later. The success in these roles requires a strong understanding of attacking and defensive systems, high technical consistency, visible work rate, and psychosocial resilience under pressure. None of these can override the other. They all need to be equally worked on. I previously observed and assessed a number of these participants on their physical, cognitive, and psychosocial skills. This was in assessment 1, which we did only a month or 2 ago, so I've had recent chance to really make this TPM specific for these players. Tactical. What does good look like? Understands the system used by all teams at Leeds Beckett. Every team, from the 6s to the 1s, use the same team, so they really understand that. They understand how to defend as a unit and execute the systematic pressure defence. Understands how to use the team's strength in the phase play attack. Demonstrates strategic thinking to solve the puzzle of the opposition's playing style. That is, in the moment, eyes up rugby. Can adapt to play both the strengths and weaknesses of the opposition. Can make quick decisions at game pace. Consistently makes the right decision based off field position and the right decisions based off game context and momentum. They show sharp, composed decision-making in counter-attacking situations. And for these players to climb higher into the higher teams, they would need to understand the system and test it accordingly. They need to understand the purpose behind these actions, why it's done, where it creates space, and how to exploit that space. And they play the system optimally. Exit in R22, play to score in their 22, and kick to compete after sideways phases in midfield. Those 3 points at the end are the real styles that we'll go into later. Technical, they're highly skilled in all core areas of the game. They're comfortable and effective kicking, both short and long range. They're competent passing off their weak hand, which avoids predictability or one-sided play for themselves or for the whole team. And they're defensively solid. Even if defence isn't a primary requirement for this position, they remain committed and do not switch off. To keep climbing, they're expected to attend S&C sessions to make up for these probable weaknesses. They don't slack in these physical departments. They have the speed to get set and perform for the full 80 minutes, and they have no fitness issues that would prevent this from happening. Physically, they work off the pitch enough that it is recognised that they can keep up with physical battles. Their speed, agility and endurance should be excellent, completing a full 80 minutes at a strong pace. The strength and power in these positions is less critical, but should not be below standard, and kicking and passing distance should be extensive yet controlled. To keep climbing, they're expected to have a variety of kicking skills and be able to make these decisions late and execute them. They can pass with both hands comfortably, ensuring phase play attack is not one-sided, and they're confident with their kicking skills of both feet, reducing the predictability like with passing off each hand. And psychosocially, these players are emotionally invested but not over-invested. It's very easy for players to get overexcited due to it being their first years at university, and there's been a recurring problem. They thrive under pressure, the new environments and the competition of these positions. They work well in a team. They build this strong build points, and off-field relationships are just as important. They play in a key position where leadership is evident, even if without a formal title. While they might not be captain or vice captain, they're still the voices that are needed to be heard. They understand their own game and is comfortable with it being challenged. They set, track and understand personal goals and pathways for them to achieve, and always attend with a positive professional attitude. To keep climbing, they understand their strengths and weaknesses and actively work to improve. They fully commit to training and always give their best, and they respond to being dropped by staying positive and working hard to win back their place, especially in a position like this where rotation is so common and there won't be much reason behind it. A positive attitude is what is amazing to see. And here's the evidence to support this TPM. The physical robustness to sustain performance from Gabbett. Gabbett shows that performance drops if players can't repeat the high intensity efforts. So physical standards are here for sustaining skill and decision under fatigue, not just their fitness scores. The tactical adaptability and game understanding by McGarry. McGarry's views are that the game as a dynamic is constantly changing. That's why we value players who can read the momentum, adapt systems and make good decisions in transition, which is especially relevant for these positions. The psychosocial behaviours and performance culture by Armour. Armour highlights sort of how behaviour and culture can drive performance, and that we expect sort of control over professionalism and leadership qualities. Doesn't really matter which sort of role they're playing. And finally, the cohesion and shared standards by Kleinert. Kleinert's work was on group dynamics and the shared goals, consistent behaviours and team cohesion, as everything is one. This TPM really stresses that the shared accountability and the collective standards across it all. Here is the curriculum design. The curriculum overview and alignment. This season has been planned out using Dave Piggott's Spiral curriculum. where the chosen main themes are revisited and developed throughout the season rather than being taught and left in the past. The pillars. Both my 9-week blocks are built around the same 3 pillars. This breaks the game down into 3 different areas so we can focus closely on details while keeping the shared framework and learning outcomes across the season. The progressive development. The first block of 9 weeks will establish fundamental technical and tactical attacking and defensive skills. The second 9 week will return to these with more advanced touches on them. And the coaching rationale, this approach prioritises progressive learning rather than repetitions, therefore supporting long-term development and clearer transition from training to match. This is especially important as these students are first years and we are just one part of the system. Threshold concepts is quoted as a threshold concept can be considered as akin to a portal, opening up a new and previously inaccessible way of thinking about something. This means like once there is understanding on the subject, the threshold concept can alter how the individuals will see the knowledge. They can highlight the connections and similarities across different areas within the subject. For coaches, this can specifically support the curriculum design by helping them guide players through challenging periods in their careers. Here's the season overview. As said, I've divided this into 9 weeks, aligning with the Bucks season, and it's 9 weeks on the other side of the winter break. I've split these into 2 halves, 1 and 2, and those 2 into 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. This structure allows me to plan appropriately for my team, who are expected to learn the new system and progress very quickly. Each training week contains 2 on-field sessions, 2 S&C sessions, and an optional skills session. The attack sessions focus on both technical and tactical elements, working on phase play and using the system while improving the quality and range of individual skills. Defence sessions focus on technical and tactical elements, skills such as tackling, rucking, speed to set and the press, while reinforcing our systematic pressure defence. There will also be game-based scenarios where the transition phases are practiced. The goals. The overall goal is to become a competitive, connected unit who thrive under pressure and force themselves and each other to higher points in the club. The performance goal. This might seem unrealistic, but it's the first time we've had a freshers team, and they are already working at a much higher rate than what we thought. So their goal is to win 100% of the league matches, win the league, and bonus point every game. Process goals. So visits to opponents 22 is double their visit to us. The under 4 phases in our 22 per attendance, so an early exit is what we're aiming for, and 90% kick decision and kick type is right and carried out truly. Training standards, S&C sessions, 75% attendance, on-field attendance is 95% and attitude training is 100%, regardless of which team you're training with. The behaviour goals is that the team standards are player-driven, blame is shared. Why is this? By focusing on clear, controllable performance processes rather than the outcomes alone, the goals support both team functioning and performance, as recommended by Widmer and Duchamp in their work on team goal setting and cohesion. The overview block 1. 3 lots of 3 training blocks. Monday is on a grass pitch, so we focus on defence and contact. Friday is on AstroTurf, so we focus on attack and high-tempo rugby. Block 1 will be attacking and defending the 22s. Block 2 will be the possession and territory in the middle of the pitch. And Block 3 will be using set pieces to create structure and sustain pressure. Here's Block 1.1. This is where we focus on scoring and preventing scoring areas of the pitch, so attacking defensive 22s. We also begin our technical and tactical attacking and defensive skills here. These skills will be come back to a lot, and we tend to just want to build on these as Piggott's Spiral curriculum says, to not just learn a skill and drop it. So the catch, pass on both hands, confident ball carry for attacking, width and depth and space identification. And for defensive, we look at competent tackling, line speed, as well as defensive line integrity and defending as a unit. When looking at block 1.2, this is the possession and territory battle in midfield. it still follows the same setup as block 1.1 with a defense session on Monday, a game day in midweek, and an attack session on a Friday. The progression on these skills has come. So catch, pass on both hands has progressed to doing that under pressure. The calculated running lines is off playmakers. And width and depth is now within the learned moves. Would expect the moves to be more learned by this 6-week mark. Dominant tackle and line speed with connection progressed, and early and clear communication using team-specific calls, working as a whole unit. Again, these are calls that you'd expect by the 6-week mark have been learned. For blocks 1.3, it looks slightly different, but it's all focusing on the set pieces and then how to bring this into the phase play. Again, these skills are progressing more. Looking at how we'd attack with the game context in mind and running off defensive cues, and how we'd defend under fatigue, really connected, working as a unit using team-specific calls, which is very important. And for block 2, which I won't go into too much detail on, it follows a very similar idea with 3 bye weeks where we have team run-throughs. But again, this uses the same spiral curriculum, so it follows the same sessions plan with a very similar setup. So we'll return to all of these areas where in the first few weeks we might look at attacking and defensive 22s. We'll come back to that in weeks 10, 11 and 12 to really perfect these areas. Here are some 3 attacking drills that might be used. We tend to use a circuit for our training, as we have so many coaches that we can benefit from. So any one of these 3 could be used: a Fiji touch, a 2v1, 3v2 and 5v3 session, or a carry tech. So lots of footwork and finding the weakest shoulder. 3 different things that could be used. There are 3 different tactical attacking drills that we could use: a ruck clear-up drill, a drill working on attacking lines and changing widths, and the tank cannon shape. Again, these are very similar to what we'll be working on in the sessions, and they're very easily implemented, all 3 of these, so we often change which we'd use. The technical defensive drills, look at 1-on-1 tackling or 2-on-1 tackling, and then you might also add in a bit of conditioning with some line speed, lots of high fatigue sets, working as a unit, lots of team calls. And tactically defensive drills, looking at the hammer defense, the wedge defense are 2 calls. For a hammer is a blitz, is an aggressive defense against an opposition's face, or a wedge defense if you're outnumbered out wide, to really try and push the defense width without creating any holes. Or we look at the guard 9-1. This is the shape we use around every ruck. There's 6 minutes per drill, and any one of these 3 can be used, and they all fit in to the drill quite nicely. And anyone could be given these as a coach, but it really gives a chance to implement these into the game day. The end of session, we'll come to a game situation. We tend to use the same sort of drill due to the numbers, where we'd have one team attacking in the middle, one team in the middle and a team on either end in each 22. So if it's an attacking session, the team in the middle would be given the ball in different scenarios. They might get set pieces, they might get open play. They're looking to exit if they're in their own 22, or place a score if they're in the opposition's 22. The goal is completely dependent on what area they get the ball. And if it's a defensive session, the team in the middle will be defending for a 5 or 6 minute period of time. It's all about systematic pressure. It's all about fatigue and defending under that. The correct hammer and wedge calls, and rewarding the way to win that is by holding opposition there in their area for a prolonged amount of time. This is the typical setup of one of our sessions, as it really comes together nicely. There are my references, and thank you for listening.